Welcome. Today on Book Talk with Bookish Erika, I am interviewing author C.W. Rose. Thank you so much for meeting me today. Can you tell me a little bit about your book, Oceansong?
I'd love to. And also, Erica, thank you for for having me on despite the tech issues we were having earlier. But we're here now. So yeah, I'd love to talk about Ocean Song. It is my debut novel. It came out last August, and actually book two is coming out next month. Oh no, in November. Think about
It'll be here
like,
so soon though.
my God, my time. I'm sorry, my timing is all messed up. I think I'm like, oh no, we're October. We're not.
I I think it's October too. It feels like October with
It
like the
does feel like
fall
October.
feel and yeah.
Yes, definitely. I got Halloween started early this year, so I'm feeling like the spooky vibes. But yeah, Ocean Song is it's an adult romantasy, and it's an Asian Romeo and Juliet meets the Little Mermaid if it was set in the grittiness of the real world. And
Oh,
yeah, it tells the story of 24-year-old Angie Song, who is an aspiring marine biologist, and she's come home to Alaska for the summer to work at her family's docks. But while she's there, she finds that fish are vanishing from the sea and starving her small fishing village. And when she goes to investigate, she finds that merfolk are responsible of all the things. So her family ends up declaring war on the mer, being that her people are starving as the mer's fault. And it results in a brutal fight for control of the sea's resources. And in the midst of all of that craziness, she falls in love with the mer prince despite her every effort not to. And
uh,
she puts everything and everyone she loves in danger, including her and him.
Ooh, there are
Yeah.
so many good things in everything you just described, and I am really,
Thank
really
you.
excited to discuss further because I saw something. It was probably a post from you about Ocean Song like a long time ago, and I was like, this sounds amazing.
I'm
So I'm
so
really
glad.
excited to discuss it more.
Yay.
Um, so
Okay.
how long did you work on Ocean Song before publishing?
Oof. Okay. So it took me about 6 months to outline and then 6 months to do the first draft. And then about another ballpark, give or take another 4 or 5 months to revise and send it to beta readers. I started querying this, like sending out to agents and editors in August 2022. Wow. I can't believe it's been that long. I ended up getting like, I think over 150 rejections for this book.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
Queried for about a year and a half, and I finally signed with my publisher on October 2023.
That's
And I can't believe it's been
amazing.
that long. It's 2022. I'm like, that long already? Oh my gosh.
The years are flying by, but the days
Yes,
are really long. So I time is
for
a
sure.
weird thing right now.
I completely understand. Like, I just came back from two conventions. I did Romantically Yours and Villains and Vixens, and now I don't know what day it is or where I am. Like I know
I've
home.
heard both of those conventions were really good though. So hopefully you had a good
Yes,
experience at them.
I did. Yeah, they were both amazing. If any authors are listening and they live around Orlando or Dallas and they do it again next year, I recommend them.
Perfect. I love to hear good
Yeah,
endorsements because there have been a lot of poorly planned conventions, we'll say.
I've
It's
heard.
been a rough year for conventions.
I've heard. I'm like, please don't let these go bad, but they both went really well.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear
Yeah,
that. So your book features own voices, Asian American representation. Can you explain what that is if people aren't familiar, and then just a little bit about why it's so important?
absolutely. So, own voices generally is a term I think that was coined by like We Need Diverse Books a few years, maybe like more than a few years ago. So, pretty much means you're writing from a perspective that is your own. So, I'm Asian American. I was, like I said, I was kind of born and raised in Singapore and also in the States. And my family is very traditionally can't say that word, Chinese. Right. So it's sort of like if you write a book about like, about like with a gay main character and then you identify as gay yourself or queer, you identify as queer, so pretty much you're writing from like experience that you've experienced and yourself.
Mhm.
So that is really, really important to me because growing up, I loved fantasy, I love romance, I would devour like books like that, especially when I was younger. But and I found that I really longed to see like someone who looked like me in them, like back then. I know representation is, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I don't trip over my words today.
That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but representation is really important to me because I feel like we're such a diverse world, right? In the States, in Europe, Asia, anywhere you go now, there are people from all walks of life there. and we're not just like a homogenous unit, right? You know, like whether it's like body type, whether it's ability, whether it's your ethnic group, or whether you identify as LGBTQ, you know, like we all want to see ourselves represented in these stories. And especially as a marginalized group, right? I also want to write a story where we were the main characters versus just being relegated to like, you know, a side character or worse, a token character, which sadly I've seen a few of those, not so common now, but I've seen a few of those in my past.
Oh, definitely. Unfortunately, there
Yes.
are a lot of books that feature token characters,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm hoping that there has been a positive shift. I have seen some good changes, but I think there's still a long ways to go
Yes.
to improve proper representation of different marginalized groups. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that way too. And I feel like nothing like no, I mean it just kind of bugs me when I see a book that is I mean that's written recently that features emotionally mostly like you know cis you know white people and then just like one person of color there without any like real personality of their own beyond like
Yep.
stereotypes. I'm like, please don't do that. You know, please do your research. Please do your research. That's all we ask.
Yes, of
Right?
course. And one of my absolute favorite things about books is I do get to learn about people from a different life than I have. Maybe it's
Yes,
a different
exactly.
background, a different cultural upbringing, a different
Huh.
socioeconomic status, maybe a different identity. And so to me, like seeing that's one of the reasons why I was really excited to interview you is because you were one of the Own Voices authors. And I'm like, that's what I want from books. I want people who have lived a different experience and who can teach me something
Mhm.
through their works. And so I'm really excited that there is a way for people to search and like look for books if they are looking for something a little more diverse. And hopefully people are reading more diversely.
I hope so too. You know, like I said, there's so much out there, right? You know, read widely, right? It's a way to
Yeah,
learn. It's a way to learn about like cultures other than your own without having to leave the comfort of your couch.
that's true.
Yep.
That is a very like nice way to say that. And I appreciate that. Because you can learn so much through books.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we readers love to read, is because we are always
Absolutely.
learning. But definitely there could
Yeah,
be more effort for people to read diversely. So hopefully we're moving in
for
the right
sure.
direction.
For sure. I feel like change is always slow, especially like on a societal level. But you know, at least we're moving toward change, even if it is on a slower scale,
Yeah, that's true. We're moving in
right?
the right direction.
Exactly.
So I feel like dragon books have been all the rage for several years now, but
Mhm.
personally, I feel like the next big genre is like seafaring books with mermaids or pirates or things like that. Have you noticed a similar shift in the book world?
Well, I am part of a mermaid author group, so I may be a little biased in that I do like associate with a lot of like authors who write mermaids and pirates. But yes, in general, I have seen that, right? So, for example, next year I'm going to do two conventions that are based around sirens, right? Like I'm doing books, Crowns and Gals, which is what their theme is Siren Song next year, and I'm also doing like an event with Aluxia. I think I'm saying that name. I think I'm saying their name right. And they also have one that's pretty much like you know the Lost Isles is all about mermaids, right? So I'm seeing a lot
That's
of
so
that now.
cool. I didn't know that
What
there were two like themed events coming up. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think books classic gals is just Siren Song, but the other one, you know, they have like six different realms of like different, like they have like I think a Fae realm, a Mermaid realm, you know, a like Royal Court realm. But just the fact that they have a Mermaid realm is really cool to me. I'm like, I need to apply for this. I don't care if I have to travel for
That
it.
is really cool.
Yeah, but I have seen a lot more of that. You know, like even when I go to conventions now, you know, I do meet a lot more mermaid authors, right? Because back in 2022, 2021, when I was querying Oceansong, I had a lot of trouble finding appropriate titles, right? Comparative titles to you know to say this is what Oceansong is that were like adult mermaid romance. But I feel like there's a lot more of that now.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
maybe I'm also like the algorithm just knows me that that's what I like.
Yes.
Because I see like mermaid and pirate books popping up all the time.
Mhm.
And I love to see, don't get me wrong, I love dragons, I love fairies, I love
Same.
all of that. But it's nice that there's been a little bit of a shift, and I think it's going to be
Yeah.
really cool. And I love that you already have your book out, so you're kind of leading the pack on like the like stories. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that is my hope. I don't know if I'm leading the pack, but you know, but thank you for saying that. I think I am. We'll see.
We'll just say you are.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
So what do you hope that readers gain from reading Ocean Song?
All right, so I hope this is not like a cop-out answer when I say I hope that they take away like what resonates most with them. And I feel like a lot of authors do feel like that. But like there are some things that if readers told me that they took away from it, I would be very, very happy to hear. Like if have you read Oceansong yet?
I have not. I have it on
Okay.
my birthday list. My birthday is in like 2 weeks, and I was
Oh,
like, this is like number one. I want this book. So I haven't bought it because I'm hoping that like my family's gonna get it for me.
oh, okay. Well, happy early birthday, first of all, if in case I
Thank
forget to
you.
say later, because I ramble.
That's
So yeah,
okay.
so there's some character, so there are characters in there who they kind of learn a lesson of their own in the book. Like there's Angie, who's the main character. She is loyal and she is assertive, and she is not afraid to stand up for what's right. Right. There's also Caden, the merman, that she falls in love with. He is kind and he wants nothing more than to protect the sea, his home. Right. So from like overfishing, from people like trashing his home, pretty much. There's also like the two, like their families, right? You have Zixing, which is Angie's father, and then Serafa, which is Kina's mother. They are the heads who are going to war with each other. And they eventually learn to accept that, people or a race, I guess, different from their own, right? And that they're also human, even if they're merfolk. And finally, there's Mia, who's Angie's big sister, and she kind of like grows into her own confidence throughout the book. So if readers told me any of that, I'd be like, you know what? That makes me really happy to hear.
Yeah, there is a lot of really, I would say, like big ideas in your book. But I like that you're allowing, I guess, the readers to get
Yes.
what they need from it. Or maybe, something might really stick out to one person who has a different background from another
Yeah,
person.
exactly.
And so I like that there is so much, your book is very complex and there's a lot to it. And so it can appeal to a lot of different people. So that's really cool.
Well, thank you. And this reminds me of a story that like one of my readers told me once. So so just quick background. So outside of writing, I'm a physical therapist in my day job, and I work with people who are primarily wheelchair users.
Oh, okay.
And and one of them who was not my target, not my target audience at all. He said, "Oh, you wrote a book." He said, "I love to read. Can I read it?" I said, "Well, do you read romance?" He said, "Yeah, I read some romance." I'm said, "How about fantasy?" He said, "No, not really." I said, "Okay, well, you know what? If he just was by to support me, I give him the link to the ebook, and then a few months later, he comes into the clinic. He said, "Christine, can I?" Which is my full name, Christine. He said, "Can I talk to you?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "I really loved your book," and I said, "Oh, okay, thank you, thank you." He said, "And I really saw myself in the merman because my merfolk don't shift. So when they go on land, they do struggle to move, right? They have
Hmm.
to kind of like hop or they have to like crawl. They're kind of shuffle the tails around." And
Yeah.
he said, "I really related to his struggles to move because he's like, I can't walk, and neither can he." So I really related to that, and that was something completely unexpected.
Yeah, that is a
Yeah,
really, really cool experience because someone who maybe wasn't originally your target audience, they were
yeah.
able to really connect with your story. And that probably felt really good to hear that. And it probably was amazing for him just to have a little bit of representation from a merman that he probably never thought that he would see
Yeah,
himself in. So that's really cool. What a cool
exactly.
story.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was definitely very touching. It was unexpected. He told me this in the middle of my of the clinic where all my coworkers are there, and I felt like really awkward for a second because I'm not going to taking like praise, especially in person, especially at work. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
you know what? And then when I went home, I'm like, this is that that's actually really really nice, and I didn't expect that at all.
that's so sweet. That is really cool.
Yeah.
What does your writing process usually look like?
Okay, so messy. That's the perfect way to describe it. So I am. So something I learned recently was that being a quilter. So that's how I start off with drafting, right? So I just let the scenes come to me as they come, even if they're out of order.
Hmm.
Sometimes maybe the love scene comes first. Sometimes the ending comes first. Sometimes something random happens, and I just jot it all down in a notepad. And when I have enough like scenes, usually 30 or 40, I start to organize them into all of them into an outline.
Oh,
And then,
interesting.
yeah, so when I have an outline, then I start drafting. For some reason, if I look at a blank screen, my brain like does not compute. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like for some reason, I need to know what happens next, and like what I'm writing, I guess writing and working toward. So it's quilting, then outlining, and then maybe at some point in the drafting process, I become a bit of a pantser when something doesn't make sense. I'm like, oh, I need to change this, or I outlined this, but I actually mentioned this scene 2 chapters earlier, and I didn't realize because I was just copy and pasting.
Interesting. That I could
Yeah,
see how, because I write a little bit, and
love to
I
hear
could
it.
see how, like a blank screen or not knowing what happens next can be a little overwhelming. And I think you can often get stuck because you want it to be good, you want what you put down to be good. So that is
Yeah,
really
for sure.
interesting. I haven't heard of like a quilter before, but I'm like, that's kind of a cool idea. I might explore that a little bit in my own writing.
I love it. And I never heard of that until a couple of years ago when I was posting my writing process. And then one of my author mutuals wrote back. She said, "Oh, you're a quilter." When I first saw that, my eyes just saw quitter. I'm like, "That's not nice. You call me a quitter."
Oh,
And then I'm like, "Oh, she meant," she said, "Oh, she said quilter." I'm like,
woo!
"I've never heard of that term, but that's what it is."
That's funny. I hadn't heard that when you submitted your form of like, and one of the questions was, tell me a little bit about your process. I actually looked it up to be like, am I understanding this correctly? Because most people, they make a comment of
Yeah,
whether they're a pantser or a plotter or both. And so, but
yeah,
you have like a couple different styles, which I like. And that probably keeps your writing process a little more interesting because you have different ways that work for you.
yeah, for sure. I always said that I thrive in organized chaos, and for me, like throwing random scenes into like an empty document, right? Like there's no pressure. I feel like I could just write it down. I could just jot my ideas down, and then I could figure it out later.
Mhm.
But I need to have the ideas down. Otherwise, I will sit there. My mind goes a mile a minute, and then I can remember one thing and then forget it the next minute. So I need to write everything down.
I'm the same way.
I feel like especially these days when we have like so much coming at us from all different directions, like in person, calls, texts, emails, DMs. It's a lot.
It's a lot, and it
Yeah.
really does take a toll on my ability to focus. Like I
Yes.
took last weekend, my husband and I, we went hiking for a couple days. I was mostly
That
away
sounds
from my
fun.
phone, and it
Yeah.
was so much fun, but it was also coming back and getting back into like social media and
Yes.
posting and stuff. I was like, this is kind of exhausting.
It was tiring. Yeah. When I was away at my cons, I'm like, okay, I mean, it's a different kind of exhaustion because you have to go and like talk to people that you don't know, which
Hmm.
is fine. But when it's, 4 or 5 hours a day straight, it's very tiring. And then I just did not have the energy to post on social media, which you would think at first glance is not like a big deal, but it is. It does
Hmm.
take like a lot of brain power and a lot of planning.
It does, definitely. And you're
Yes.
marketing something like, I post books for fun and things I'm reading, but you're
Yeah.
also marketing your book. And so that it's that much more effort that goes into all the posts.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that because my publisher recently, so they're a small publisher, they're relatively new. So they emailed me and they were just like, "What do you feel like is working with marketing?" I said, "I don't know. I really just feel like I'm throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks." And I don't know what
Yeah.
sticks because I don't have real time like updates for my sales. I'm like, I don't know.
Oh,
But if you can help me and see if there's any particular points where sales went up, I guess that's what's working.
yeah, that would be very helpful. So hopefully they can work with you on that because yeah, you could
Yes.
try all these different things, but if you're not getting, real time or at least close to real time reporting, then you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in a way, like I always feel like I'm pleasantly surprised when I do hear something. I'm like, oh, this is great, like I sold this many books, and it like because I'll get like a twice a year royalty statement, and they tell you how many books I've sold, like for like a period of 2 or 3 months. I'm like, oh, I didn't
Okay.
know I sold that many. Cool.
That would probably stress
Yeah,
me out a little bit just because I'm very much like type A. I'm a planner, not with like
yeah,
creative stuff. I like to kind of let go with that, but I would need to know. And I know that's not how like traditional publishing works, but that would just stress me out.
really. And that's one thing that I do envy about like self-published authors is that they have that kind of access, right? And
Mhm.
like they can actually tweak their marketing strategies. And I've seen some like really, really cool marketing strategies from self-published authors, and they do
They're
really
very
well, which is
creative.
amazing. Yeah, they are
Yeah.
very resourceful, very crafty.
Yes, definitely. And like you said, they can see, like they can log in at any point during the day and check their like KDP dashboard or,
Yeah,
see how many books they've sold. And that in some ways would be really nice just because they can be like,
yes.
hey, I can see someone posted about my book on TikTok and then I got a couple sales from it. But, otherwise you're like, I don't know if it's helping or not.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I did stop searching my own book on TikTok, my own book on TikTok, and also on Instagram. I made a mistake of coming across accidentally like a 3-star review. I'm like, this is fine, but as a reader, I believe in reader spaces. I don't want to intrude. It's just because I follow this person, it popped up. I'm like, I don't really feel like, I don't really feel like I need to see that though.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely. You have
Yeah.
to protect your own space and your own like what's the word I'm looking for? Like your own emotions and
Yeah.
everything. And so that can be very difficult. I've shifted to when I post about books is I post about things that I think readers will enjoy from it. So even if it
Like
wasn't my
that.
favorite book ever, like if
Yes,
I didn't like a specific trope or maybe I didn't like a specific thing that happened, someone else might love that. And so I'll just
exactly.
be like, hey, if you like, XYZ, then like check out this book because this, if you like those things, you're gonna like this book. And I
I
know
love
not
that.
everyone does that, but I'm just trying to be a little more positive in my postings on social media. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as the author now, if I, like I said, so I'm still an avid reader. I love to read. I
mhm.
try to read like 50, 60 books a year. Uh,
Nice.
so because I love it, like that, like for me, that's relaxing, right? And I feel like if I don't absolutely feel like I can give someone a 5 stars, I just don't read the book, or I might
That's
just give it a
fair.
5 star with no explanation, right? If
Yeah.
they're calling, yeah,
Yeah. That's good fair. And like just keeping things positive, which the world needs more of that. And especially on
yeah,
social
exactly.
media, things like that, we need a little bit more positivity.
Oh god, especially these days. I don't know if it's just my algorithm, but they've been showing me a lot of negative stuff lately. I'm like, like political stuff. I'm like, "Ah, I don't really want to see this,
Yeah.
right?
I'm the same and I take breaks a lot. It's obviously I haven't published anything so it's easier for me to take a break because I'm not like constantly
Yeah.
marketing. But taking a break is sometimes essential for anybody just for your mental
Yes.
health. So
Yes, and it's so hard. Like all of my author friends and I, we always tell each other, we're like, you need to rest. They're like, well, we're just like rest, damn it, just like all caps, right? Because I feel like you keep going because people have like families, people have jobs, people have day jobs, people are full time authors with families, and it's always a lot. And then on top of all of that, you try to manage your social media,
yep,
right?
it's a lot.
Because yeah,
Definitely. So what advice would you give to aspiring authors?
okay. When you say aspiring authors, do you mean authors who have people who have already written a book and they're trying to submit or publish it, or people who are in process of writing? 'Cause I have two separate pieces of
Either
advice.
one. Either one, whichever one you want to answer.
Okay, so I guess for both, right? It's just okay. So if you're in a process of writing and you're struggling, so if you're a writer but you're not published yet, or you haven't completed your book yet, like just never stop learning, right? Like even though you think you know everything, you think your book is really, really great, there's always room to grow, and you have to be okay with getting outside opinions on it. All right, and I say that because for my very first manuscript, which I queried that for 4 years, I didn't get any but I got a couple of bites, but I never got it published, right? And I never went further than like rejections eventually. And the mistake I made with that book was writing it and then not showing anybody, right? Because thinking, I'm just like, oh, I could just self edit and be fine, but people would catch things that you don't, and
Mhm.
and also be open to constructive criticism.
I think that's the hardest thing for a
Yeah,
lot of new authors is
yes,
constructive criticism. And obviously, I think it should be done in the right place and the right time.
I agree.
But unfortunately, at some point, people are going to read your work and they're going to have opinions about it. And you have to be
Yeah,
okay with people not loving everything about your work. And it's hard. It's very difficult for
it is
sure.
very difficult. Yeah, even having published 2 books, I mean, I've been through like how many rounds of edits now with Midnight Song, which is book 2, and Oceansong. And even now, like I have Midnight Song in front of me. I was doing my edits, and even still, like my editor, she makes a lot of really, really good points as stuff that I missed or stuff I didn't think of. Is it easy for me to take? No, it's not. I'm just like, oh, I can't believe I forgot this. Oh, I feel so stupid. And some parts I'm like, oh, well, she didn't get what I was trying to say. But then you remember too, it's like, right from their perspective, maybe the way I wrote it did not come across the way I intended. Right. It's
Mhm.
good to know that. Because I would rather have somebody tell me during the beta reading stage or the editing stage if something's not working versus sending it out to the world and then now I'm getting rejected by agents for it or readers are blasting it and I can't do anything about it at that point.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's also why editors and beta readers are very valuable because they
Yes.
can give you that feedback when there's still time to maybe adjust things. And like you
Exactly.
said, it might not be that they hated something, it might just be that what you were trying to get across didn't
Yeah.
quite come across how you wanted it to. And so that's a
Exactly.
good time for them to say, hey, maybe if you tweak this a little bit, then your
Yeah.
meaning will come across better. So,
Yeah, exactly. So that's for if you're writing. So just to kind of jump off in that. So as for aspiring like authors, if you're wrote a book, you're out there querying or out there trying to get it submitted, it's like just know that your time will come, right? Because especially if you're pursuing trad publishing, or even finding your readers, right? Even if you're a self-publisher, you try to find your readers, like your time will come, and it just matters that the right people find your book. And sometimes
I
it's not
love
something
that.
you can control, right?
Yes. I love that. And there's just so many books out there. And
Yes.
I mean, so many books being queried, so many books
Mm-hmm.
that are published. And,
Yeah.
no matter which side you're on, it's very difficult to get your right readers or your right publisher. But like you said, I think you said 150 rejections, but then you found
Yeah.
your editor, like you found your publisher and
Yeah.
you're finding your
Exactly.
readers. And so I like that. It's just keep going, don't give up because it'll happen. It'll happen in the right time with the right people.
Yeah. Exactly. And I know it's so easy on my end to say, don't give up, keep trying, and it is hard. Right. Sometimes it is hard. You put yourself out there like repeatedly over and over and over. Sometimes you might get like a bad review or a negative review, or you're gonna get rejections, But if you keep going, try new things, right? Don't be afraid to pivot. Right. Like I was when I was acquiring Oceansong, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get like an agent and a big five publishing deal, and that's gonna be that. Right. It never occurred to me to pivot to maybe even though I didn't get an agent for this one, I could still publish a small press,
Hmm.
right? And I know some
Yeah.
people who try to publish and they end up self-publishing because they're like, I like this better. I make more money.
Yep. That's true. And I think people, I think everyone's, maybe not everyone's, but a lot of the dreams are a big five publisher. Obviously, you make
Yeah.
$1 million your first year or something, but there are a lot of different ways to publish, especially now.
Yes.
And so I think it's really, really good to try those different avenues because you never know what's going to work out.
Exactly.
And that's how you can kind of build your craft, learn more about the publishing world, which is very
Yeah.
confusing if you're not a part of it. And so I think
Absolutely.
it's good to pivot, like you were saying.
Absolutely. Right. So just be open to that. And I try not to be so fixated on just one way and that's not working. Try something different. That
Yeah,
could work. That could actually
definitely.
work out better for you.
Yeah, yeah, you never know.
But don't give up.
I love that. Don't give up.
Yes.
So Midnight Song is the sequel to Oceansong.
Yeah.
And what day is that releasing? I know it's in November. Do you remember the exact day?
So it is 11/11. So just 1111 makes it nice and easy to
Oh,
remember.
I love that. I love
Yes.
11/11. Okay, that is exciting. Do you
Yeah.
have anything planned for the release day?
No, I feel like I should have plans. I got so honestly, I got so burnt out with Oceansong with last year with they played for Oceansong stuff, and then doing like book tours and cons and marketing. I'm just like I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
You need
I
a
did.
break.
I know. I mean, I've had colleagues asking like, "Oh, are you gonna do like a launch party?" I said, "Yeah." I just have to start reaching out to bookstores and see if anybody will take me at this point because it's 2 months out. Some bookstores, especially in New York City, they book like months in advance. But I feel like I'd be okay just doing it in like like a mermaid theme bar with a few of those here or dinner
Oh,
place and
that'd
just
be cool.
buy people drinks and sell my books there. So I'd be okay with that too.
Yeah,
But
that'd be
yes,
really cool.
yeah, I'm gonna start emailing people probably next week to get my head together.
Yes, take a break. You've been traveling a lot. But even if you end up doing like a friends party or something,
Yeah,
like do something because it's such an accomplishment to finish a book and publish it.
for
And
sure.
a lot of authors are like, oh my gosh, I'm just so exhausted by the time release day comes that they
Mhm.
don't want to do anything. But at least
Yeah.
like celebrate with friends and family, hopefully a bookstore, but just do something because it's such a big accomplishment.
For sure. I mean, I know I will. I just don't know what. I have no idea what yet. If I want to do, like I said, usually I do usually some kind of Instagram live or like a virtual release party. The day of publishing, and then I might do it in person something later on.
Makes sense. Yeah.
That's the goal. Yeah.
So if anyone was interested in starting your series or your duet with Ocean Song, what
Yes.
formats is it available in and where can they find your
All right. So right now it's available wherever books are sold. Right. So yeah. So even if it's not in stock at a certain bookstore, they should have it available for order to ship to you or ship to the store. Um, I'm sorry. What's the rest of your question? I got
um
distracted.
oh that's okay. And then
I
what
don't know my what.
formats?
Oh yes, it is available as an ebook and paperback. So it is not on Kindle Limited. My publisher did not put me on there, but it is available as a Kindle ebook.
Perfect.
So yeah,
Awesome.
if you go to my website, which is cw-rose.com, there's a link to all the buy links that for books that have the book in stock, whether it's ebooks
Perfect.
or paperbacks or both.
Awesome. I love a good paperback. So I prefer paperback over hardback. So I'm really excited.
Me too. I like paperbacks. I said they're easier to carry around because I also like to read a lot like at work, like during like breaks at work or during my lunchtime. And a hardback is just so hard to carry. They look nice though. They're just so
They
hard to
do.
carry around for me. Yeah,
They're just so clunky and like
they are.
they're just I mean they're not that much bigger, but it just feels like I'm carrying around like a suitcase anytime I carry around a hardback.
Like a rock.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so
Readers,
happy.
if you're interested in an awesome Asian American own voices book about merfolk, then please check out Oceansong by C.W. Rose.
And thank you so much, Erica, for having me today.